my audience. I have no idea who I'm talking to. There are some long-time home educators, and there's some that haven't been at it all that long, and there's even a few who are considering maybe home educating, and there might even be in the odd time, looking forward, it might be people who are actually long done home educating. So there's lots of different people. There's people who are members of Education Unlimited and some people who are not. I'm not sure about this evening. I think that just about everybody who's joined us tonight are members, is right, Tamara or Nadia? Do you know if there's anybody who's new to Education Unlimited here?
I'm not sure. I don't
Okay.
see faces.
Well,
if I see faces, I would know better.
If you have never joined us at an Education Limited thing, we want to give you an extra special welcome. And of course, everyone has unique and individual needs, goals, and ambitions. And somehow or other, I'm supposed to do a talk that ministers to everyone. So you can see what's on the bottom there. You can read that after every line. This is my first Zooming it. I usually read my crowd and I draw inspiration from the people that are in it. So this is altogether new. I'm looking at a computer and it's really not very inspirational. And then it's impossible to meet everybody's individual need, but I will do my best. I will take, but you have the responsibility of taking what applies to you, what interests you, and you can disregard the rest for now. And then the other point I want to make under this disclaimer is that I do have a way of telling the truth, and sometimes people don't take that very well. So it is not my intention to offend anyone. So if anyone is offended, I'm telling you that you took it. I did not give it. So those are the disclaimers that I want to start with so that everyone knows and can sympathize with my poor presentation this evening. First thing I want to do is talk about some rules for home education in Alberta. All students between the ages of 6 and 16 must be registered for education. I should just take a moment to tell you that rules here have changed and that the student must be 6 on January 1 of 2020 to register for the 2020-2021 academic school year, which means that they had to have turned 6 on or before December 31st of 2019, or have been born sometime in 2014. Okay, so that's a new rule that has just come in. As far as the other end is concerned, you can register for home education up until you turn 20. That is, as long as a student is not 20 on September 1, they qualify for home education for 1 more year. Alberta is unique in funding home education. As far as I know, there is a tiny bit of encouragement here or there, usually on a school board basis. In BC, there's a tiny bit of money, not much. Alberta is the only one that I know of in the world that actually has a funding scheme for home education. So everyone needs to know that. And as a consequence of that, and some rules that were changed back in 1988 and continue to this day, the parents may register for home education with any willing non-resident board. That means they can register with any board anywhere in the province. Parents are free to educate any way they desire. Now, I'm putting this here because there's a lot of people who are quite surprised that they don't have to follow the school's directive if they don't want to. But that's not the message you're going to get from the school. And it's usually not the message you're going to get from the people. As you know, with this COVID virus thing lately, everybody is homeschooling. So they just, put everybody in the same bag, and it's all homeschooling, which to them, anybody who is home is just simply doing school at home. And the last point I want to make here is that programs must be supervised by a certificated teacher. Most of you just know that person as your facilitator. So those are the basic fundamentals to home education, or the rules for home education in Alberta. And then we need to ask ourselves this question. So as I go through this presentation this evening, I'm going to ask you to always bear in mind that there are 2 players in this game. There are those who are home educating, and then there are those who are sponsoring it or who are providing for the home education. The objectives are not the same. The parent objectives and the school board objectives are not the same. So you have to bear that in mind as we go through this little presentation this evening. I want to talk about marketing. It's important to understand this because really in the end, I'm forced into this when I'm asked to do a presentation and say, oh, how are you different? You need to understand that every entity, whether it's a person or a corporation or a non-for-profit society, they have two things in mind. They want to survive and they want to grow. Because they have these two objectives, every entity must convince potential clients that they have a better offer. You have to somehow be convinced that we're better than the next guy, or you're not going to be joining us. And that parents are faced with having to choose from a great many options. As a matter of fact, I think every year there is one or two or three more home education providers online looking for a part of the home education market. Now, having said that, when you're asked to do a presentation on tell the world on how you are different, the first thing you have to understand is that you cannot make a statement about being different without using some point of reference. Different from what? So this evening, I'm going to try an altogether different approach. It's something that I think that I should do. So on being different, we need to understand that you should consider potential problems before joining any agency. Matter of fact, we probably take more care in buying a car sometime and making sure that there isn't going to be some hidden surprises than who we're going to register our children with. This is important to consider. Another consideration is that I'm going to give you a whole bunch of considerations, for why you do not want to become a member of Education Unlimited. Now, that is different, as most marketers will do everything they can to convince you why you should be. I'm going to show you why you should not, but for good reason. Follow me. First thing we want to do is just decide out of the two, there's two players, and from the parental perspective, there are two things that they need to clarify before looking for a home education provider. The first one is the worldview. Now, I've done a lot of lessons on worldview, and I just want to just take a couple of seconds here to talk about one. Everybody has a worldview. Anybody who thinks that they do not have a worldview do not understand it. The worldview is a collection of everything you've ever experienced in your whole wide world and everything you believe to be true or not true. Because we are living in a rather imperfect world, everybody's worldview is therefore corrupted by the inherent imperfections of the world and of the individual. So that's not a problem. We understand everybody has a worldview, and we understand that everybody's worldview is less than perfect. However, we don't do well when it comes to correction. So here's one more point you want to make, is every worldview has a built-in defense mechanism. That is, the first thing we're going to do if somebody challenges our worldview is fight it, because we don't really want to believe that we could be wrong. This is standard. This is humanity that I'm talking about here. So now that we've discussed worldview, we should bring out this is very important, because Education Unlimited, even though it is a dead, brainless, spineless, gutless, heartless entity, it's just an ink made up of people who are real human beings. But Education Unlimited's human being worldview is that whoops, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, I'm just working with something new here. Education Unlimited is that we are unapologetically Christian. Now, therefore, we follow a simple Christian mandate to love God by demonstrating an unconditional love for others. Now, notice that's not sectarian. Others is everybody. Then we also want to know that our job is not proselytization. We're not, preachers of the gospel. We are believers in the gospel, but we're not proselytizing yet. We are doing our best to live out our faith every day in every way, or we're really not true to it. Now comes time for a decision. If our candidate and unabashed Christian worldview is something you disagree with or are not comfortable with or simply can't abide, then I think that Education Unlimited may not be the right home education agency with which to associate. On the other hand, we need to understand, though, that Education Unlimited does not exclude anybody. We simply want everyone to know that we are coming from this Christian worldview perspective. In other words, no surprises. Now, on the other hand, if you accept a Christian perspective or if this is important to you, then Education Unlimited may be the place for you. The next thing is that we need to note this. Not all agencies are open about, dedicated to, or honest about their worldview perspective. And incidentally, when it comes to worldview, there is no such a thing as neutral. We only can be neutral in the way we conduct ourselves, but we will never be neutral in our worldview. That is a definite. So we're going to talk about something else that's vitally important. The first one was you got to line up with an organization that shares your belief system or your worldview. The other one is you have to actually share with an organization that will share your educational philosophy. So what I want to do here is I'm going to divide it into three different ones. We have homeschooling, and you'll notice that school is largely in control. What I mean by homeschooling is that anything that is fully aligned, online, in school, blended, accredited, that's all homeschooling. What I also put into homeschooling is if you are doing a complete ABECA program, a complete Bob Jones program, or ACE or CLE program, and you're just following all the directives of the program, then in essence, you're homeschooling as well. That is, you're not making any decisions here. All the decisions are being made by the curriculum or the school. And of course, we'll talk about standards and grades and levels and passing and failing and that kind of thing. When you talk about home education, it's the parent that is mostly in control. Home educators, they'll talk grades and levels and curriculum as well, but usually they start shuffling the deck, and the curriculum is made up of something for science and something else for social and something yet different for English and different levels and different things and so on. There's nothing wrong with using curriculum. They're just using all kinds of different resources. But in the end, the differentiation between home education and homeschooling is that the parents are mostly in control. I should point out that when I was going to visit all the post-secondary institutions across Canada at the beginning of the millennium here, what I did to win them over to come up with home education friendly admission policy was to differentiate between homeschooling and home education. They all believe, and to this day, that anybody who is at home is homeschooling. So then they try to measure them or assess them on the basis of all the things that the student would have experienced in school. Now, when I point out to them that most of the students were home educated and that they did not have the school accreditation, then they suddenly realized that they had to come up with an alternate to the standard admission criteria and invented alternate or modified alternate admission criteria for the post-secondary admissions for the home educated or the unaccredited home educated students. Okay, now, and most start off as homeschoolers. Most do, because that's all we know. And we bring that school home and we find that it just doesn't work very well, so we start to modify it. So we usually start our home educating families as homeschooling, and then we graduate them to home education. Eventually, though, especially after the first one is graduated, we fall into the third category you see there called unschooling. And when you get to unschooling, all of a sudden, all this stuff like schools and grades and curriculum and passing and failing and doing enough and not doing enough and all these kinds of things that are associated with a school mindset are gone. And now we're just enjoying learning and keeping with the gifts and talent that the student has, and using whatever resources are available. I'm suspicious that when the schools were all closed and everybody was sent home this year, everybody started off as homeschooling, but it would not be one bit surprised if there's quite a number of students that actually quickly jumped from homeschooling to unschooling, because that is what really does come natural. Now, having said that, we need to talk about Education Unlimited. Where do we fit in? Well, this is important to know. We simply do not provide or support government program at all. We never have. We do not provide online or blended programming. I sometimes call it mixed up. It's not really blended if you understand how it works, and then we do not support government accreditation for high school. I'm going to repeat that. We do not support government accreditation for high school. We do have families that come our way that really want to be with us because they agree with all the philosophies, but they do have this faith in the accreditation for high school, and we have to send them elsewhere because we have never, in the 21 years of our existence, have we ever actually given a credit for a single course to any student, period. Now, there's some noteworthy information here. You might wonder, about this. Why are we doing what we're doing? You need to understand that funding levels in Alberta increase with the greater use of public programming. The least amount of funding is for those kids who are registered in an unfunded school. The next least amount of funding is home education. Then if you could start blending that, then that means that you get paid on a percentage of home education and of school education, which is 4 times more. So you can understand that because there's greater programming or greater funding for greater public programming, that school boards, that is in the school board's best interest to support student use of government programming. That's why if you leave a school and you ask the school to help you in a home education program, they will send the school home with you, is what they're going to do, because it's in their best interest. They'll get 4 times more money to deliver that school program at home than if the parent decides to home educate and do their own thing. The more government programming you use, the more the school gets paid. So therefore, they're going to encourage government program. It pays better. And they're going to actually do everything they can to prevent you from figuring out or from knowing that you can do something outside of government programming, because once that happens, their funding starts to diminish right away. So now it's decision time again. If public programming and government directives is what you want to follow in your home-based program, then Education Unlimited may not be the right home education agency with which to associate. On the other hand, if parental authority and autonomy is important to you, then Education Unlimited may be the place for you. Now, another thing we're going to talk at really, to differentiate us, if you will, is modern technology. A couple of points I want to make about modern technology is that whether we agree or support the use of modern technology or not, guaranteed all future citizens, that is today's students, will have to use it. I have to admit that although there's a lot of things that took place with the COVID-19 pandemic that I certainly did not agree with or was not in favor of, one thing it did do, it certainly moved the school system into, well, the whole world, into much greater use of the digital technology that's available. Our collective job, we have to remember, is to prepare the children for their future, not our past. A lot of stuff that goes on in the schools, oftentimes that's exactly what's going on. And of course, there's other people who are still not wanting to have computers in their home. That's not doing their children any favors. Now, Education Unlimited operations. We are a digital home education management system. That is, all processes regarding home education have been digitized, automated, and is available to parents 24/7, 365. We are paperless in every way, unless somebody prefers not to be, we still have that option. Although there's fewer and fewer people taking that option, I have to admit. And finally, that is what really, truly makes us unique among all the other providers. There's nobody else that is doing anything like this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little experimenting, and hopefully I don't lose anybody. But this is the Look and See for Yourself tour. You will find it by going to your www.educationunlimited.ca. So the first thing I want to point out is that Education Unlimited in and of itself is not a school board. I'll repeat that. Education Unlimited and a few other home education providers are not school boards. We are in our case, we're a digital management system offering home education services on behalf of the Harvest Baptist Academy. That is all students who are registered through it. Everybody in the province in home education is registered with an actual bona fide school. So that's the first thing you need to know. And also you can see in the home here, the home page, and just pay attention because I'll point out something in the end here. There's if you want the Heart of Education Limited, you can see this there. There's a video on the history and the purpose of Education Limited, and you can hear what the staff, we said here, but I think it's more of a read, what the staff had to say. And there's Leo's Insights. I discovered today that Leo's Insights has been going on now for, this is in my 7th year. There's almost 300 blogs out there that cover pretty well all the subjects they're in home education, so you shouldn't be short of stuff. We have current issues, and this is something that you should be going to see what's going on. That's kept up to date. Upcoming events, of course, our online education meet and greet is there now. On the left-hand side, you can see for yourself what is Education Unlimited, and it does explain what's going on. More about us, why home education, why Education Limited and Harvest Baptist Academy, and how do you get started. That's the first page. So you will go on then to this is the same thing as the first page, the About Us. Then it will just give you a quick little tour here, a little bit more explanation. There's that wonderful couple that are sitting across from each other right now, Leo and Faye. There's our principal, our chairman, and there's a principal, Mr. Riley, and there's Jean and Isla, and you've met, and Nadia, you've met. Crystal could not join us tonight. Tamara, you've met with her wonderful husband, Joe. And you've seen Gary. I don't know, Beth is always with Gary, just like she's there. Okay. So those are people. And then Adele has joined us tonight. You can see what you look like. Dr. Michael Wagner, my good friend and executive assistant. Ian Weir and his mother, Pam. Ian did not join us tonight. I don't know why. But because I know why, because I would have been saying, help, Ian, help. So he decided to just take the evening off. Good for him. Yeah. Pam, are you with us tonight? She didn't answer, so I'm assuming not. Although I thought I heard her laugh. Okay, now that is the Education Unlimited group. Contact us, well, that's just obvious by its name. Oh boy, it's really slow. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go to Program Resources. Okay, under Program Resources, you'll see that what we've got here are 3 things I want you to look at. The first 2 for sure, subject tutors. We have not gotten it off the ground yet. We should probably just take that off the link until we've done it. Apprenticeships is just that. We used to have 2 apprenticeships. We're now down to 1, which is the Alberta apprenticeship. We used to have another apprenticeship with the CERT program, but I think right now they're trying to find their wheels again. I want you to pay special attention to the program resource listing that we have here. I'm just going to scoot ahead, and I'm going to scoot real fast, and you should all be seeing tons and tons and tons, dozens and dozens. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but these are all agencies and organizations that supply something to do with education. We are very fortunate to have Tamara Western, our able facilitator and resource manager, take care of this, and she has done a very, very good job. at keeping it up. We're real good at inventing things, but not that good at keeping it up because things change so fast. If that is confusing, then you can simply use the filters. So if we're going to use science and we want to have a website at the secondary level, then these are the ones that will, you can see we've reduced it now. And if we want books, then we're down to 1. If we want audio video, we've got 2. And you can see how that works. That is the able work of our IT guy. And of course, he put it all together so that Tamara can make this work. So a big thank you to Tamara for doing that on our behalf. We're not finished with Tamara, hold on. But in the meantime, we're going to go here. And here we have the post-secondary admissions. And here again is something that we put together. I started with the Alberta Home Education Institutions back in the early 2000s, and then I kind of let it go. Then I got Dr. Michael Wagner on board, and you can see that he's done a great job. We have stuff on that's apprenticeship related. We have Bible colleges, community colleges. You'll see if they've got the green arrow, then they have been endorsed as home education friendly according to the endorsement criteria, which you can read for yourself. We have institutions of art and technology, pardon me. We have universities, and we have important post-secondary links. That is mostly my work. You want to see what Doc Wagner did. Whoa, he went to British Columbia, Manitoba, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, Ontario, Saskatchewan. Every one of these schools has asked us to join in this website. It's at no cost to them and no cost to the users. Now, I'm going to come back here in a second and talk about apprenticeships, but I'm going to go here to parent support. And right down here, we have parent resources listings as well. This is important to know. Another part of Tamara's job description takes care of all the resources, and she's the one that said it got so complicated, we had to break it up into 2 categories, that which was for resources, program resources or curriculum, and lots of additional stuff for parents. My internet is especially slow here tonight. So again, I'm not going to show you how this works, but you can see all the options that are there. And again, look at all the things that Tamara has discovered and lined up to help you in whatever you may be interested in. Okay, so that is Tamara doing that. She's doing the parent resource listing and the parent and the program resource listing. And when we go to apprenticeships here, this is the Alberta Apprenticeship Instructions. This is the work of Gary, our facilitator, Gary Wiens. And what he did is he tried to make sense out of a government website. So if you are hearing what I'm saying, that is quite a feat, because government websites is what we use as examples of how not to build a website. So there's all kinds of information there that you should be looking for, but I will point you to one thing in particular. Can you see my mouse over Trade Entrance Exam Study Guide? Somebody say yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that is important. Click on that. And if they do that test and get 70% or better at level 5, then they're good to go. For the apprentices, you have to be 16 and have roughly a grade 10 level program. Most of our home educators are there by the time they are 13. I'm not joking or trying to be funny. That's true. So then you have to wait until they're 16 to actually go at work. So those are program resources. Under the parent support, upcoming events, that's a combination of Nadia and Michael, current issues. Dr. Mike is doing that as well. Leo's insights, who's responsible for that? Oh, that would be Leo, right, okay. But there's a lot of people involved. Gary and Beth do the videoing. Mike does the initial proofreading and the slap on the hands when I'm too raw. Pam does the proofreading. And then we have to record it all, put it all together and put it up. It's a lot of work, a lot of people involved. I'm very, very thankful to have all that. The home education is indeed that. It is a very long program I put together for many years ago. I suppose maybe a few things have changed since then, but not really, because children are still children, parents are still parents, and education is still education. So I would highly recommend that you go through that. When you click on that, you'll see, once our internet catches up, that it's broken up into a few parts so that you can grab the place that you are at in your home education program. I think I need to click these things twice. Okay, that is not working. All right. While that is coming up, we already talked about the parent resource listing, the home education mentors. I want to show you that. Helping others is just that. It's an opportunity to get involved in other ministries. And so let me try this again. Okay. And then we have a library. Yeah, our internet is just very, very, very slow and not working for us here right now. FAQs are just that. The library is a bunch of things that you can find there as well. While we're waiting for this home education guide to show up, here we go. All right, you'll see there on the table of contents to the right, there's an introduction, which includes a whole bunch of things, disclaimer. Getting started, that's exactly what it is. When you're home educating, it starts from when you're considering it to all the steps that you have to take, and there's all kinds of helps to help you decide what board to get associated with, how you should do it, and so on. We call that getting started, and that, of course, is very, very exciting for everyone. Once you get the hang of it, you get into cruise control. We call that running the race, and that continues on until the child hits puberty, and then you lose your wheels, no more cruise control, and then the finishing strong is encouraging you to continue in the high school level, and then, of course, the beyond home education is the post-secondary level. So we've covered learning here from beginning, home-based learning from beginning to end. So that is very much encouraged that everyone should have a look at that. Okay, now the home education mentors is just that. We'll just pick, we'll pick the corridor. And there we go. We have there 4 families. These are all people who have been there, done that, graduated the students. These are, for the most part, are all very experienced home educators who are there to help. And of course, you don't have to do it that way, because since the whole thing is digital, you can very easily live in Lethbridge and be accessing somebody in Grand Prairie. That shouldn't be a problem. Now, while I'm waiting for my computer to catch up, okay, there it is again. You can see we divvied the place up, or the province up, into different regions. We'll just click on Edmonton, which is kind of our home here, and wait for that to come up. But I do want you to notice that everything that I've showed you on our website so far is something that everyone in the province can access. Everyone in Canada, even the world. Now, what we are doing here is that we are truly offering a service. There's the Edmonton list you can see. And these are people who have agreed to do this. And when you click on them, you'll get there. And but your information, their information is not provided to you. You contact them, then they contact you, and then the exchange of contact information is taking place between the 2 parties, and we're not involved. So having said that, whether we talk about everything in the home or the about us or the contact us, program resources and parent support, both the program resources and the parent support are things that should have been done by the provincial agencies and the national agencies purporting to be supporters of home education. None of them did. And we knew that there was a real need for that, so we did it. Now, I'm saying that because when you take a look at this, we are really providing help for everyone. I dare say that most of the people who are coming to a program resources, the program resources listing, a lot of them, if not most of them, are not even registered with Education Unlimited. They're just using our helps, using our resources. And we don't have a problem with that, because we are indeed an organization with a vision for home education and beyond just us. The last thing we want to do here is take a look at My EU. Not going there because you have to be a member, but there you'll have all your schedule and deadlines. You can do all of your program planning and transcript online, live. You can manage your funding, all digital, EFTs, family and student document. You can see all the student records. You can contact your facilitator. You can take a look at the school board. You can even go and get some favorites. That is our website. And we are not at all ashamed to say that it is probably second to none. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can get back to my other one. Here's a decision, folks. If using a fully digital system is not what you want, or if you are afraid of being technologically challenged, then I have to say that Education Unlimited may not be the right home education agency with which to associate. On the other hand, you need to understand that the EU system is very user-friendly. Honestly, we get, I think, I would say, maybe one complaint a month. And it's almost always something that has to do with computer glitches, and oftentimes not ours. We do have our problems, but oftentimes it's just that somebody's still trying to work on Windows 98 or something like that. So anyways, on the other hand, if time-saving processes is what you're looking for, then Education Unlimited may be the place for you. Now, our purpose. Money was never, ever been the reason for our existence. We incorporated and we created Education Unlimited in response to the commoditization of students within a growing home education industry that was taking place in the late 1990s. We incorporated Education Unlimited in 1999, and that's when we started this ministry. So we were created, the reason we did it, we wanted to provide a place for parents to escape the deterioration of parental control due to the increased encouragement of public program usage, because, as mentioned before, public program simply delivered more money. So generally speaking, the industry is not in favor of unschooling or traditional home education, even though lots of them, some of them even have it in a name. But the reality is that in the end, the more public programming they could offer, the better it is for them. So what is our ministry? Well, our ministry is enabling parents to take responsibility for the education of their children. Whoops, okay, gotta go back here. We'll try that again. Enabling parents to take responsibility for the education of their children, to meet all provincial requirements, and everything is done. Nobody has to worry about anything because the digitalization has taken place and takes care of that. And to believe in themselves, that's what we're doing. We're also equipping parents by teaching parents how to fish, or if you will, educate their children, rather than giving them a fish, which is playing school. We are helping our parents to take control by providing them with innumerable resources for accomplishing those goals. And we are here to encourage parents to trust in their instincts about their own children. Whoops, wrong button. Okay. To stay the course from beginning to end. And with our 30 years of unschooling experience. Faye and I started in the late 80s. And we have been at this for so long. We're grandparenting for a very, very long time. And we're not that far away from great grandparenting, home educating students. It's really a privilege. Anyhow, here's your decision. If you want others to direct your home-based program, then Education Unlimited may not be the right home education agency with which to associate. Or on the other hand, if being supported and encouraged to take control is important to you, then Education Unlimited may be the place for you. Well, let's wrap some up. Just a few more considerations before you decide whether we're the outfit that you want to be with. First of all, just about everybody's interested in this one. Funding is considered as a privilege and a blessing. We are careful to help our parents to spend it reasonably and appropriately, if indeed parent resource funding is not being declined by the parents. We have some who join us and they like the freedom and they love it. They don't take any of the money. And the reason is because they just want as much freedom as possible. We honor that, we respect that. And for those who do take the funding, we help them to make sure that there's never a reason to accuse us or them of impropriety. In 2021, the parent resource funding went up a slight bit. I think we're very, very pleased with the new UCP government that finally took that $1,670.81 that's supposed to be divided in half. We don't have pennies, never mind half pennies, rounded it up to 1,700 bucks, and half still has to go to the parents, so $850 per student for next academic year. There's some other changes, but they don't affect you. Submissions for reimbursement are made easy with the digital option and electric fund transfers. Our facilitators, I love talking about our facilitators. I think we got the best facilitators in the whole province. But anyways, every one of them, excuse me, have experience from grade 1 to 12 in home education. They've all graduated students without accreditation, so they know what they're talking about. They'll make every effort to meet you in your home, not in some other place, although sometimes that does happen, but most of the time they want to go where the action is taking place. They clearly understand and honor the authority of parents and will come visit you as encouraging friends to be welcomed. They are not coming to flex their authoritative muscles. And what else? Just a couple things, I guess. One is that we are leaders in transitioning unaccredited students to post-secondary level. We've been doing it since the mid-1990s, and we have been, I would say, overwhelmingly successful in seeing students go into the post-secondary institution. I did not say without hassle, but then life without hassle isn't life. So there is a bit of hassle. Sometimes they just walk in. Sometimes it's a bit more involved. Sometimes it just depends where you're going. There's some real bad ones. You know, I don't want to mention any names like University of Alberta, but anyways, most of them are very, very easy to get along with. And if you get the right person, even in the U of A, it's not a problem. So we're leaders. We have been since day one. We continue to be contributors to the cause of the greater home education community of this province and across Canada and around the world through our website. And we're just nice folks, honestly wanting to help and serve you in your home-based, non-governmental home education program. Well, folks, the final decision. If you are not interested in being associated with very experienced, long-time home educators, or to have the latest technology making your efforts in home education as easy as possible, or to be encouraged to take control of your family's education, then Education Unlimited may not be the home education agency with which to associate. However, wrong button again. On the other hand, should you desire all of this and more to be a part of our family of families, then Education Unlimited is indeed the place for you. That's it, folks. Now, I want you to send me a report card as to how I did on my first Zoom presentation. There is our group, our team of very experienced people. I think everybody there is an expert in their field. So thank you. Now we're open for questions. I think you want to take it from here. Nadia?
I don't have any questions, but I hope maybe somebody else have.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a question. I just want to say, as you already answered mine, well done. And I know it's your first time, but you did very well, Leo. So I look forward to making sure that there's more of these and encouraging more of my people that I know to get onto the website and pull up some of these so they can see them firsthand, because you did a fabulous job. Just like with your blogs and all the rest of your educational things that you do. So thank you.
You're welcome. You know, we're I think all of us, especially the facilitators, I mean, not everyone is born teacher, but all the facilitators have a real heart for home education, for helping the families to take control and to do the best that they can with their children. And it's really a privilege to be able to work with such professional people. And then, even then, if they're not out there affecting people directly in homeschool facilitation, they are indeed having a real impact. We already talked about, Dr. Mike and Gary and Beth and Pam and Ian, all involved in creating these blogs that everyone is getting, or being blessed with, I hope. There's a lot of people that are working in the scenes and behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, I just have to say, I think you guys are one of the reasons that I really enjoy being part of Education Unlimited, and will miss not necessarily needing a facilitator anymore, is the fact that you and your website are constantly showing that you really do care about homeschooling as a whole, the home education families, not just about well, as you've pointed out, the money or the marketing that goes with it, all that sort of stuff. You really do show, and your tour just proved that, I mean, good portion, almost probably 90% of your website is open to the general population, as long as they know where to find you or Google you and find you that way. So on behalf of, well, parents that don't know about you, and for those of us that have been around for a while, I just want to say thank you. It's been a great pleasure, and I look forward to being able to continue to promote Education Unlimited all the way through, and encourage people to use your website and learn more. And I agree with you. I think more and more parents are going to get into oh, you mean I can do this a lot faster and a lot easier and a lot less time than what the teachers are doing? I like that idea. So I think you're right about that too.
Okay, well, you're very welcome. And I do want to make another little statement there. We did say, indeed, that we're not motivated by the money, and we're not. That's not the reason why we're doing this. However, just like the families and the parents are thankful for the fact that they do have some money to help pay for the resources, we're also very thankful for the fact that in the end, we end up getting paid for the work that we're doing too. So for us, it's a blessing. We get to work in a field that we really, really love, and we actually get to put bacon on the table, Canadian bacon.
I guess what I'm getting at too, though, is you don't sound like a typical salesman, whether it's car salesman or, appliances or whatever it is. You guys never have, neither have Beth and Gary, who have been our facilitators all the way along with all the growing pains and stuff and drama of my family and everything. I mean, never have I felt like you guys were trying to, change our minds or, get us down a road and I've been with other boards, and that's exactly what they've done. And I've been burnt once or twice. So I just want to say what a blessing you guys are. And I get the fact that you're not in it for the money, just like anybody that homeschools that's in it for the money is in it for the wrong reason.
That's
and I mean, that's one of the main things I tell people. If you're here to do it for the money, then put your kid back in school, because they'll be better off. But
I should point out that on the website, you'll notice by its absence that there isn't some big button there that says register now or register here. That's not there for good reason. We want to be able to help people, but we certainly are not interested. And you know what? For two reasons. Number one, it's that we're not marketers. But number two, if we do that, we're going to end up with people who we really cannot help, or who really are not on the same page, or who really are pain in the backside. There's those too. We want the people who come this way to really truly want to join up with us, as I say, to become a member of our family of families. So that's our motivation.
Well, and I think too, if you had that register button and you had different, those sorts of things, and that was your focus, you yourselves, you said in your conversation that one of your jobs and goals is to keep us parents out of hot water with our provincial government when it comes to our funding usage. And I think you would find yourself in bigger problems with bigger headaches and more PTSD and stress than anybody needs, because you're going to find those parents are not as honest, a little more willing to have some gray areas rather than you know, as you said, keeping us above board and not running into the issues that you and I, and we all are well aware, happen with just about every other board, and a lot of other parents have been caught in trouble with it. So thank you.
All right. Well, you know, I should once again say I never said anything about there not being any stress or problems or headaches or duking it out with government and parents and sometimes even staff, but that's what makes life interesting.
Well, yes, that's true, but it would be 10 times worse if you had more parents that were in it for the money, as opposed
That's
to realizing that, you know, you're there to help us keep everything in our best interest as well. And so in that regard, that's also a blessing. So thank you again for that too.
You know, parents who really, really don't share the vision will really not feel comfortable, and they do move on. But at the same time, I can say the very, very small percentage of our parents do move on, and
It's good.
it is extremely rare that we encourage families to actually move on. Usually we do everything we possibly can. And well, let's put it this way. Some people really cause us facilitators to really earn our pay.
Oh, I can well imagine. But again, I just want to say thank you.
Okay, let's hear from some of the other people there. That'd be interesting. Thanks very much, Lara. I really appreciate that.
I want to point out,
hey?
Leo,
Yeah.
I want to point out that we have a text from Eva, who has no video or no microphone, so probably that her connection is not allowing it. And she's saying, my daughter turned 6 on February 6, 2020, with the new rules and having to be age 6 before January 1st. Does that mean she would be registered this year? She was registered last year.
Yeah, no, she can't. She was registered last year?
That's what it says.
Well, I
Hi,
don't think
Leo.
she's old enough.
It's me.
Okay, hi.
Hey, Leo, can you see me?
I can, yeah. Eva.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
how
hi.
are you?
Good. Yes, my daughter Catherine. I believe she was registered last year, as far as I know, and I'm just wondering about the new rules that came into place. Is that going to affect registration for this year?
You might be one of the lucky ladies that's going to get a personal phone call from us to explain to you that things have changed. If she was registered last year, then she was old enough last year, so everything's fine. But, you know, and if you didn't hear from us, then the government didn't kick her out for being too young.
She turned 6 in February this year, so she's good for the next year. She will be 6 2020, so she's good to register in 2020, so no problem there.
She'll be registered in 2021 if she turns 6 in 2020.
Yeah, but this next school year will be 2021, right? So she is okay.
We'll sort it out. One thing for sure is that we're going to do everything we can to catch. I think there's been, you know, the government just changed this very recent. As a matter of fact, the new rules regarding the funding manual just came out today. And yesterday, the funding manual was completely haywire on home education. So there's a lot of changes that are taking place very, very quickly. Parents don't have to worry about that. That's my responsibility, but there is going to be some families who are going to be getting phone calls from us and say, okay, when we started this game, they were old enough, but the game has been changed since then. So if the student is not 6 years old as of January 1 of this year, they cannot register for home education this fall.
Okay, perfect. That answers my question. That's no problem. And thanks so much for the presentation. It was awesome.
Okay, you're welcome.
You're good at Zooming. For the first time, that's just awesome. You'll get really good at it.
Yeah, but I just noticed now that everybody can see me scratching my nose and, you know, fixing my glasses and everything else. So I got to remember, I got to have a little more of a public presence.